Hey, what's up guys? Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we're at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center again today, and we're going to actually talk about, somebody asked us a while back about filming essentially custom enclosures, okay? Essentially doing custom enclosures, but not spending a fortune on a lot of these, what would be classified as custom reptile built enclosures. But basically DIYs, doing it yourself, custom big reptile enclosures for things like monitors and boas and even bearded dragons, water dragons, things like that. But somebody that wants to do something aside from just the standard aquarium, or especially aside from something that you buy from somebody that's specifically in the reptile industry building custom enclosures that are absolutely ridiculously priced, okay? However, that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, right here in this corner is our subscriber button. Make sure you hit that, and we appreciate you doing so and following along week after week after week. Let's get right into this. Okay, so when we talk about DIY enclosures, there's so many different ways and ideas and things to do. We've been teaching folks for probably 7, 8, 9 years, especially on quite a few different things that you can do. So if you take a look, these are some of our exhibits here in the zoo. This has the Taiwan Beauty in it. This is our what we call our North Carolina native exhibit. Big, beautiful habitat we have right here. And with these were custom built. We built every single one of them. Every habitat we have in here, we built from scratch. And these guys right here are massive, massive habitats, as you can see. We have, let's see, there's a young Nile monitor there in that pen. There's a young monitor there, Taiwan Beauty, carpet python. Of course, the North Carolina native exhibit is right here. And then down here where you cannot see is a big old massive bearded dragon exhibit. Okay. However, in the event that you're not wanting to just go and get scrap wood or basically plywood, you're not wanting to go get the melamine boards, you're not wanting to do PVC, for example, you're not wanting to go out and buy the PVC, what's some other options that you have for making enclosures? Well, that's what we're going to go over today. And right up here, you're going to see different pictures pop up as we're talking as well. And I'm going to show you some other ones also, some other things that you can do, some other options and ideas here as well. But if you're not just wanting to go out, because building materials are a little bit expensive right now, have been for the last couple of years, but you're not wanting to just go out and just grab a crap load of plywood. Things have to go through the staining process, the painting process, the curing process, all that good stuff. Have to build it, put it together and all that. You want to start with something that's already at least a shell. There's a ton of options of things that you can do to get much larger habitats than just the standard things that you would buy in a simple pet store or from a reptile producing enclosure provider. All right, let's start with number one, okay? The first one is kind of an old go-to, especially for things like bearded dragons and boa constrictors and some other, what we would consider small to medium species of snakes or lizards, and that's jewelry display cases, okay? Like this right here. Jewelry display cases work great. Granted, they're not completely climate controlled. Understand, glass is not easily climate controlled. Doesn't hold in heat well, and it doesn't keep cool out easily, okay? So you have to have a little bit more wattage if you run that. You have to kind of retrofit and your lights inside. But they work fantastic because they're very showy. And that's what a lot of people want, especially if they're putting some kind of a nice display animal inside of their house. Even if it's a pet that they're going to have out and about, they still want this nice, elaborate, showy looking habitat. Jewelry display cases are very, very easy to make look showy. So you can build them up. And of course, these jewelry display cases also can handle those higher temperatures. And considering they're not climate controlled, you can run the higher temperatures and stuff inside of there, and they're very easy to deal with, very easy to clean. Of course, granted, most of it is glass. So all you have to do is just wipe your glass off and clean your glass off. Now, with that being said, okay, the next thing that you can do is things like these two right here. Corner Curios for stuff like your arboreal snakes, colubrids especially, even vipers, okay, even your small arboreal vipers, your squams, things like your Russell's vipers, your purple pit vipers, your squam species, so on and so forth. These kind of things are good for that. They also have an open and closing door that you can add an additional lock to, and then they become completely secure. You can take the shelves out of those. The other one is, of course, you've seen the china cabinet, and I'll kind of talk about that one in a second. But the Curio, you can take the shelves out. It's already been somewhat treated. It's already got a semi-waterproof stain on it, or backing, coating to it. And so it's able to hold moisture and heat and stuff a little bit better, and it doesn't rot quite as fast. Now, I would suggest putting an additional water barrier on there, especially if you're going to do a tropical species, something that's super tropical, like a chameleon, like crested geckos, tokay geckos, anything that's like really heavy tropical, a lot of your frog species, if you're going to do a lot of your arboreal frog species, that's going to have a lot of moisture in there, then you definitely want to put an extra layer or coating on that. This is not specifically how to tell you to set up every single one. It would just take forever to do so. This is just giving you the ideas. You know, read online, call us, call other folks that you know that have been in the industry for years and years, and they will be able to tell you how to do the fine tuning and the specifics of it. This is just an overview of good alternatives to giant or larger habitats for your personal pets. All right, the next one was the china cabinet, of course. Now, with the china cabinets work great for all kinds of different species. You can do things like bearded dragons, because yes, bearded dragons love to climb, and they're really good at it. But you can do things like your frilled dragons, your water dragons. You can do all kinds of different arboreal geckos. I mean, in something like this right here, you'd need a ton of them to even be able to see them. However, I'm not really saying that the crested gecko works great for something like this, because you never see the doggone thing. But again, you have all kinds of different snakes that can fit in something like this. And the great thing about it, now of course the disadvantage, yes, it is real glass. Some people don't like real glass. Some people prefer plexiglass. Problem with plexi is, you know, it starts scratching up and clouding up, and it's really hard to get that out. You got to replace it. Plexi is expensive. Glass can be buffed out. And again, generally speaking, if you spend enough time with your snake or with your lizard, then you should not have to worry about it just constantly running at the glass or charging the glass, hitting the glass, in the event that they're pissed off about something or looking for food. Now, again, with things like your curio cabinets, your china cabinets, stuff like that, it's very easy to mount light fixtures on the inside of them. You can mount your fixtures for your heat, your UV, your high lumen, high Kelvin LEDs for like live plant life, things like that. It's very easy to be able to do that kind of stuff. You can also, once you have the shelves out, it's super easy to be able to mount pieces of wood and vines and greenery and all kinds of things everywhere to actually turn it into that tropical atmosphere. Okay? Again, not really going to go over every specific of how to do these kind of things. This is just giving you ideas. Now, one of the coolest things that I think I've ever done, and I've taught people for years how to do this, and I've had a few people actually send me back the way they did this. If you remember the old school big screen TVs, they had big, gawky on wheels. They were deep because they had all that projection equipment inside of them because they were considered rear projection screen TVs. These big screen TVs, if you take the back off, rip all the guts out, and actually take and set the inside up like a habitat, put the back on, you literally have a TV habitat. And I've had several people send me those, and they look super cool in the way they do it. You can do it desert, tropical, forested. You can do all kinds of different ways. That's another great way to do it. Now, one of the things that I have taught people how to do, especially folks that are in like apartment settings and things like that, and in apartments, in townhomes, even in some mobile homes, whatever the case may be, a lot of the times you already have so much stuff, and folks would like to have something like a decent sized boa or a decent size, especially like a Burmese reticulated python. Tons of people have them, and they want to make sure that they're able to give the snake space. Now, this is one that does make a lot of wives a little uncomfortable. Sometimes if it's the wife that likes it, and I have a lot of women that like it, and the men are terrified, and of course it'll make the man uncomfortable, which is completely hilarious. However, one of the things that we teach how to do, and this is one that you would have to build yourself, is take, for example, your mattress. Whatever size mattress you sleep on, you can take and build a box that's the exact same dimensions as your mattress, make it about 18 to 20 inches high, and have doors on it, and that becomes your box spring. You put center supports in there, and that is actually where your snake could live. And it takes no space out of your room at all, and it gives the snake a ton of space to be able to sleep in, which is great and what we recommend. Because a lot of people, when they get these big snakes, they don't have the room for big enclosures, and so they stuff them in these small aquariums, or they stuff them in these small rack systems, or they stuff them in these small enclosures just wherever they could potentially fit inside of their house, and it's just not a great atmosphere for the snake itself. But if you have something the size of a full or a queen or even a king size bed, and you've got this big box that's underneath it, that's completely secure, and your mattress is on top of it, you can keep that thing climate controlled, and they have this massive giant enclosure that they can live in the time in which they're not out and, you know, spending time with you doing whatever it is that you do with your snake or lizard. So, with that being said, there's a ton of ideas in ways of which to do custom habitats. And there's many, many more, okay? So you don't have to go out buying and spending thousands of dollars on these custom built habitats when you can simply do a lot of these things yourself. If you can see something that has a door and glass on it, you can certainly make it into a habitat. It may take some retrofitting, it may take some work. I've even done things like taking bookshelves. You take a 6-level bookshelf, you build a door around it and hinge it, and you have actual rack systems, a 6-shelf habitat. And a lot of your bookshelves have quite a bit of room. Some of them are 5 and 6 feet long, and they're, you know, as much as anywhere from 1.5 feet to 2 foot in depth, tall, and then at least 1.5 feet to 2 foot in depth. And so for smaller things like crested geckos, leopard geckos, things like that, it makes great habitats. So again, there's so many different things that you can do for so inexpensive of a price without going out and just spending a crap load of money on custom built stuff if you prefer doing your own. If you don't prefer doing your own and you want to buy it already done, that's absolutely fine. That's what these folks are for. Already pre-doing it for you. Technically speaking, they should be set up, at least built in such a way to make it efficient for desert or tropical species. It's a shell, remember, unless you're having them completely fully built it, and that's going to cost you a lot of money, specifically to the animal that you're wanting. But generally speaking, if we're just talking about just a shell, just an enclosure, if you want to go a less expensive route and you want to be able to do it yourself and build it yourself, there's tons and tons and tons of options. Outside of building from scratch, Curios and china cabinets and old TVs and jewelry display cases and all kinds of different options and things out there that you can use to make a very nice custom habitat. All right, now, again, this is Chad. We are the Reptile Rangers here at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. We appreciate you coming along week after week after week. Make sure to let us know of other things you want us to film about. Write in, let us know. Please do. We have people doing it all the time, and we appreciate that. We appreciate your subscription as well. Our information will be in the description below for those needing to get in touch with us. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notification. Also, don't forget about the TikTok channel entitled Reptile Rangers. We do also have the storefront here where we do sell pets all the time, along with habitats fully set up with food for them and do all kinds of things, okay? So if you're ever looking for a pet, feel free to come on and see us or give us a call. Happy to help you out in any way that we can. People call us all the time about especially medical help. We get calls from all over the country, Canada, Puerto Rico, and a few other places, Hawaii, Alaska. And people call us quite often because they don't have anybody really close enough to them that is professionalized in a lot of reptiles that they can see in person. So we do take a lot of phone calls, and we do and are happy to take those phone calls. Feel free to get with us anytime. Again, this is Chad. We are the Reptile Rangers here at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. We appreciate you coming along with us week after week after week. We'll either see you here at the zoo or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.